The abbey stands draped in black. The echo of church bells fills the air. A family gathered to mourn. But hidden beneath the sorrow is a secret that could destroy them all. On this day of grief, love and betrayal walk side by side. And at the center of it all, Lady Mary. The story opens on a morning heavy with silence. The grand halls of Downton Abbey are dressed in mourning. Curtains are drawn, chandeliers dimmed, and every step across the marble floor sounds louder than it should, as if the abbey itself is grieving. Outside, the autumn air is damp. The sky is weighed down with clouds that threaten rain, echoing the sadness of the day. Carriages arrive one after another, their wheels crunching over the gravel driveway, carrying guests dressed in black. They are here not for a celebration, but for a farewell, the funeral of a figure who meant more to the abbey than words can capture. The camera lingers on the details. Black lace veils, gloved hands clutching handkerchiefs, and solemn faces that hide more than grief. The atmosphere is thick, not just with sadness, but with something unspoken. In a place where secrets often live in the shadows of tradition, whispers are never far behind. As the coffin is carried inside, the guests bow their heads. Some pray, some pretend to pray, and others simply watch, waiting, wondering. And whispering among the mourners is Lady Mary, the figure who commands attention even when she doesn't seek it. Today, however, she is not simply the elegant daughter of Downton. She is a woman cloaked in more than black silk. Her eyes, sharp and restless, give her away. She carries grief, yes, but also something else, something dangerous. The slightest glance from her betrays what words cannot dot in the silence of the service. As the priest speaks of loss and remembrance, Mary's presence feels charged. She stands perfectly still, her back straight, her chin lifted, her expression calm. Yet those who know her best would notice, she blinks more often than usual. She breathes unevenly, her hands clenched tightly at her side. It is the kind of tension that reveals not sorrow, but the strain of keeping something hidden around her. The family gathers with varying shades of emotion. Lord Grantham hides his grief with quiet dignity. Edith, ever observant, steals glances toward her sister, sensing that Mary's stillness is not ordinary grief. Guests from far and near fill the pews, each one contributing to the quiet hum of rumors. Even in mourning, the abbey cannot escape speculation. It is the way of aristocracy. Appearances mean everything. But appearances also invite suspicion. The funeral unfolds like a performance. The hymn sung by the choir drifts through the air like smoke, haunting and beautiful. The coffin is lowered, the family bows their heads, and the priest offers words meant to comfort. But as each word echoes in the vaulted ceiling, it becomes clear that this gathering is about more than remembrance. It is also about the living, their alliances, their betrayals, and the stories they will carry after the day is done. And somewhere in that sea of sorrow, Lady Mary carries her own secret. The kind of secret that doesn't belong at a funeral? The kind of secret that could shatter the fragile balance of respectability that keeps Downton standing tall. But secrets have a way of rising at the worst possible time. They find their voice in whispers, in sidelong glances, in the subtle movements that others cannot help but notice. The day may have begun as a farewell to the past, but it is also the birth of something scandalous. The abbey, dressed in black, is not only mourning the dead. It is preparing for the storm that will come when Lady Mary's truth is revealed. For now, she stands silent. For now, her secret remains hidden. But soon, before the sun sets on this day of grief, the whispers will no longer be whispers. They will become a revelation that changes everything. Because at Downton Abbey, the walls may be strong, but no wall is strong enough to keep out scandal. The bells of the church toll slowly, each strike carrying through the mist-soaked air like a warning. Guests move into the abbey's chapel, their footsteps softened by centuries-old stone floors. Every detail of the funeral is choreographed to perfection: the polished candelabras, the fragrant lilac arranged in tall vases, the solemn procession of servants guiding mourners to their places. And yet, beneath the perfect surface, something is off. An unease hums in the air like the faint buzz of a wasp. Trapped inside a glass dot, the abbey itself seems to breathe differently on this day. The windows are veiled with rain-speckled glass. The corridors darkened by heavy drapes, and the flicker of candlelight reveals faces that are harder to read. People whisper not out of respect, but out of curiosity. Eyes dart from one figure to the next, not all focused on the coffin, but instead on one another. This is not merely a moment of grief. It is a gathering of witnesses, gossipers, and keepers of secrets. Lady Mary sits among her family, her posture flawless, her face a mask of composure. But masks are fragile things. Every so often her gaze drifts, as if pulled by an invisible thread toward someone else in the crowd. A fleeting glance, almost too quick to notice, but quick glances can speak louder than 1,000 words. It is in those small betrayals of her eyes that the whispers are born. The atmosphere grows heavier as the choir begins to sing. Their voices rise, sweet and aching, filling the high arches of the chapel. The song is about eternal rest, but to those watching Mary, there is no rest in her. She shifts slightly in her seat, her jaw tight, her hands pressed firmly in her lap. She looks not at the coffin, but across the pew, searching, finding, holding on to a presence she cannot seem to ignore, and then comes the first murmur. A lady in a black veil leans close to her companion. "Do you see her?" she whispers. The man beside her nods faintly, though he does not dare to speak. Their eyes are not on the coffin. They are on Mary, and the more they watch, the more they see what others begin to see as well. Her stillness isn't grief. It's something else. Anticipation, fear, longing dot around them. The Abbey's guests begin to sense it. A secret crackles beneath the surface of ceremony. No one dares speak too loudly, but the whispers grow like smoke seeping through the rafters. Some say her grief feels strange, too sharp. Others notice the way she avoids her family's eyes. A few, bolder in their suspicions, begin to wonder aloud. Who does she keep glancing toward? The tension is invisible yet unmistakable. It lingers in the slow turn of heads, the subtle narrowing of eyes, the uncomfortable shifting of bodies in the pews. The Abbey, so long a place of elegance and order, feels like it is teetering on the edge of something scandalous outside. The storm clouds break, and rain lashes against the windows. Inside, the priest's voice rises, trying to command the room with solemn words of scripture. But even he cannot drown out the energy that pulses in the chapel. The guests may bow their heads, but their minds are elsewhere. They are chasing whispers, building stories, and waiting for confirmation of what they already suspect. That Lady Mary carries more than grief in her heart, and in the back of the chapel, a figure stands, still someone who should be just another guest, but who carries the weight of Mary's gaze. His presence is quiet, almost ghost-like, but undeniable. It is the way her eyes flicker toward him, the way her composure falters whenever the choir pauses between verses. Though his name is not spoken, though his face is hidden in shadow, the connection is there, strong, dangerous, forbidden. The storm outside grows louder, thunder rolling like a drumbeat beneath the hymn. The Abbey feels smaller now, the air too thick, the grief too sharp, the suspicion too strong. And as the coffin is lowered and the hymn fades, the silence that follows feels suffocating. Every mourner holds their breath, not because of the departed, but because of the secret that has yet to surface. The funeral was meant to honor the dead. Instead, it has become a stage for the living. And Lady Mary, with her hidden glances and tightened lips, is no longer just a grieving daughter. She is the keeper of a scandal that threatens to break wide open. Right here, in the sacred silence of Downton Abbey. The storm outside is relentless. Thunder grumbles low, and rain smashes against the stained glass windows of the chapel like 1,000 tiny knocks demanding to be let in. Inside, the mourners sit in uneasy silence. The coffin rests at the front, draped in flowers, but few eyes remain fixed on it now. Instead, the room itself feels tilted, drawn toward a different center. Lady Mary, for hours, whispers had only teased at possibility. But whispers have sharp edges, and on this day they begin to cut through the silence. A shift here, a murmur there, and suddenly the Abbey feels alive with suspicion. The grand funeral is no longer a solemn farewell. It is the stage for a scandal unveiling itself piece by piece. It begins with a mistake, small, fleeting, but powerful. As the priest offers the final blessing, Mary allows her eyes to drift across the chapel once more. But this time she does not look away quickly enough. For one heartbeat too long, her gaze lingers on him. A man half-shadowed at the back, his face partially hidden, but his presence impossible to ignore. To anyone else, it could be a simple glance. To those already suspicious, it is confirmation. Gasps ripple quietly through the pews. A widow in lace presses her hand against her lips, her eyes wide as if she has seen something indecent. Another guest leans forward, whispering too loudly, "There. Do you see her?" She cannot hide it, and suddenly the murmurs are no longer whispers. They are a current running through the room, pulling everyone into its grasp. Mary senses it. Her composure falters. She lowers her eyes, tightens her grip on her gloves, and pretends to study the floor. But the damage is done. In the world of Downton, where every movement is measured, even a look can be damning. And this look is not just a glance, it is a confession. The guests begin to speculate, their voices woven beneath the priest's final words. Who is the man? Some claim he is a visiting noble, others whisper that he is far beneath her station. A staff member? A widower? Perhaps even a man married to someone else. Each guess grows wilder, and yet none of them matter. The truth is simpler, crueler. Lady Mary's eyes tell all. She is not simply mourning the dead. She is yearning for the living. As the coffin is carried out, the storm intensifies, rattling the abbey's windows as though echoing the scandal within. The mourners follow in a slow procession, their black veils fluttering in the draught, their steps measured. But the funeral has already fractured. No longer united by grief, they are divided by gossip, each mourner carrying a version of Mary's story, each whisper sharpening her secret into something more dangerous. In the courtyard, the rain falls hard, drenching umbrellas and soaking carriages. But amid the chaos, Mary falters again. As the coffin is lowered into the earth and prayers are recited, she dares one more look. This time it is not fleeting. It is desperate. Her eyes find his across the sea of mourners, and for a single moment, the world seems to narrow until only the two of them exist. The watchers see it. They cannot unsee it. That connection, silent and electric, exposes everything. Her grief dissolves into something more intimate, more forbidden. Her lips part as though to speak, but she says nothing. She doesn't need to. The look is enough. And in that moment, the whispers rise into full-blown shock. Women draw sharp breaths, men exchange knowing glances, and the family shifts uncomfortably, as though realizing that this day of mourning has been stolen by scandal. What was meant to be sacred has become profane. The affair is no longer rumor. It is revelation. Not through words, not through confession, but through the undeniable language of longing written on Lady Mary's face. By the time the earth covers the coffin, Mary's secret is no longer hers alone. It belongs to Downton Abbey. It belongs to every guest who watched, every servant who noticed, every relative who dared not speak. And as the rain pours down, washing away the flowers on the grave, one truth is clear. Lady Mary's affair has been exposed in the most unforgiving way possible before the eyes of her family, her peers, and the memory of the dead. The scandal does not whisper anymore. It roars. And the Abbey, already drowning in grief, is now consumed by betrayal. The grave has been filled, the last prayer whispered, and the mourners disperse into the rain. Yet the storm inside the Abbey is far louder than the thunder outside. What began as whispers during the funeral has now erupted into quiet but undeniable scandal. Lady Mary's affair is no longer an unspoken suspicion. It is the subject of every hushed conversation as the family returns to the house. The great hall, usually so full of warmth and grandeur, feels suffocating. Guests linger in corners, their voices lowered but urgent, trading fragments of what they saw. Her eyes gave her away, one insists. She looked at him as if the coffin wasn't even there, another adds. Each word spreads like fire across dry wood, and with every retelling, the story grows sharper. More dangerous. The family senses it immediately. Lord Grantham stiffens, his face pale, his silence heavier than any reprimand. He knows that in their world, appearance is everything. A single scandal can undo years of dignity. Edith, sharp-eyed as ever, watches her sister with a mixture of pity and satisfaction. She has always known Mary to carry herself like steel, untouchable, proud. And yet, here Mary stands exposed, vulnerable, and cornered. Mary herself feels the weight pressing in. The stares, the whispers, the unspoken accusations, they close around her like invisible walls. She tries to carry on with composure, but every step feels heavier, every breath sharper. For the first time, her armor of elegance begins to crack. She knows the truth cannot be denied, not after today. Not after what everyone witnessed. The servants, too, have caught the scent of scandal. In the kitchens, in the corridors, in the servants' hall, whispers ripple. They speak in cautious tones, but their eyes shine with curiosity. Scandal, in the drawing rooms, always trickles down to the servants' quarters, and this one is too grand to ignore. They wonder who the man was, what it means for Mary, and how long it will take before the entire county knows. By evening, the Abbey feels like a fortress under siege, not from soldiers, but from rumor. Letters will be written, stories will be retold, and soon the scandal will travel far beyond the Abbey's stone walls. Neighbors will speak of it, society will dissect it, and reputations will teeter dangerously. Mary retreats to her room, the storm still raging outside her window. She removes her black gloves, one finger at a time, her hands trembling in a way she has never allowed anyone to see. She stares at her reflection in the mirror, and for the first time, she does not recognize the woman looking back. Not the perfect daughter, not the graceful lady, but a woman caught between duty and desire. The knock at her door breaks the silence. A quiet voice calls her name, almost pleading. She knows who it is without opening. His presence has haunted her all day, and now, in the shadows of scandal, he dares to come closer. She closes her eyes, torn between the fire of longing and the chill of consequence. To answer would be to embrace the affair openly. To refuse would be to sever something that has already consumed her heart. Downstairs, the family waits. Decisions will be made about reputation, about appearances, about the survival of their name. Because in Downton Abbey, love is rarely private, and scandal is never silent. What happens next will decide not just Mary's fate, but the fate of them all. The Abbey has survived wars, deaths, and betrayals. But this affair revealed on the very day of mourning feels different. It feels like the kind of wound that leaves a scar too deep to hide. And so, as the rain lashes against the stone walls and thunder shakes the night sky, the truth becomes clear. Lady Mary's affair is not just a personal betrayal. It is a storm that threatens to wash away the very foundations of Downton itself. The screen fades to black with one final thought. In Downton Abbey, secrets never stay buried. And Lady Mary's secret? It may be the one that finally tears the Abbey apart.